What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new DMZ preview over in Modern Warfare 2, some exciting features, and even more. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because we're very close to 100,000 subscribers here on the main channel. Really appreciate it. Also drop a like and turn notifications on to stay up to date with everything going on in Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, Warzone Mobile, and any other future Call of Duty as well. I also want to say happy Halloween to everybody out there who's celebrating tonight. I am a bit sad there isn't a haunting event over in Call of Duty. Would have been cool to at least get some type of Halloween update in Modern Warfare 2, but the game just came out, so can't expect anything too crazy until at least after Season 1. Now, I had another video planned for today that's kind of zombies related, would have worked as like a Halloween special, but I feel like this video was more important to put out first, so I'll save that other video for some point tomorrow. Stay tuned for that one. But I did post a video not too long ago with the release of Early Access Campaign, talking about the pretty extensive DMZ previews you already have from the campaign alone, and there's even more here within Spec Ops, as we're going to talk about. But like we mentioned in that previous video, the whole backpack and crafting system that we have in certain missions of campaigns such as Alone, that is a huge preview of what to expect gameplay wise from the very slow-paced tactical gameplay that we're all expecting for a mode like DMZ, the extraction-like experience that could be compared to a game like Escape from Tarkov or other extraction games out there like Rainbow Six. Now, Modern Warfare 2 has launched with 3 Spec Ops missions. One is called Low Profile, dealing with very tactical and night vision-like gameplay. The second one is Denied Area, which puts you in a bigger space with more objectives, a lot more enemies to deal with. And then we have Defender MWII, which is just like survival mode from the original Modern Warfare. That puts you in a dome remaster that could also be found in Al Mazrah Warzone 2. But in the very first mission, Low Profile, as you're seeing gameplay of right now in the background, you'll hear this quote after eating some pills.
Taking meds.
Those pills will give you some radiation protection.
Now, anti-radiation pills sound like something that could maybe supplement a gas mask in Warzone 2 at some point in the future, just an extra ability to avoid taking much damage from the zone, but I definitely think that's something that will very likely be used in DMZ instead. Now, every operator has their own quote just like that, talking about taking those pills. I mean, Laswell does tell you how important they are, and it doesn't really make sense to have this just used for Spec Ops. Seems like a feature that could be expanded upon for a much bigger experience, which of course is DMZ. Now, we then have the backpack system. This is something that was already leaked to be in DMZ already, which I was surprised to see a strong glimpse of in the campaign. Now, Spec Ops does feature a fully functioning backpack that fans of Blackout will probably come to recognize and appreciate. I'll show you guys the pic on screen so you guys can see. The backpack itself is game-changing. I mean, it's not something that you'd expect to ever really care about or use in something like multiplayer, even ground war. The backpack system is literally made for something like Spec Ops or DMZ, very likely raids in the future. Not something that I think everybody out there really wants to see in Warzone 2 though, but the way I've looked at it and the way I've talked about the backpack system, even in my campaign video last week, is that I do think we should see different types of gameplay and uses for something like the backpack or other features across Warzone 2 and then DMZ. We don't have to have the exact same structure and systems across all modes, but to have similar versions of them in all the modes does make sense to me when it comes to what their purpose could serve. Now, with the 3 Spec Ops missions that we have, it does give you the freedom of dropping in and choosing where you want to land. I mean, that's the way traditional Warzone dropping works anyway, but with the leak that we have so far about DMZ, it looks like we'll have 4 infill zones to choose from, and I'm assuming you'll select that on your TAC map, then the plane will drop you over one of those 4 locations. Those locations include Al Bagra Fortress, Al Sofa, Rohan Oil, and then Hydroelectric. These are all locations that you'll either see right now in multiplayer, or they're points of interest that we're going to see in Al Mazrah for Warzone 2. Now, the way that Exfils work with helicopters, as you'll see here in some of these missions, is 100% going to be the same way that Exfils will work over in DMZ. Either you'll have a very smooth transition from your objective to the Exfil, you just walk into the helicopter, or when you get to the actual LZ, you'll end up seeing hordes and hordes of enemies coming in cars trying to prevent you from Exfil, and you got to take those out before you're safe to fly away. Kind of similar to the way Exfils work over in Cold War Zombies. We get a better glimpse of that, of course, right here in some of these Spec Ops missions. Now, the difference though between Spec Ops and DMZ, as it seems, is the Spec Ops will have you doing a variety of objectives before you can get to that Exfil, whereas DMZ may offer you the opportunity to just do a couple or maybe even one really difficult objective, and you could choose to Exfil anytime that you'd like. Now, the element of choice with Exfilling might be different in DMZ in comparison to Spec Ops, where it seems like DMZ you'll be able to just do an objective of your choice and Exfil right away, whereas in Spec Ops you have to really go through the entire mission before even getting that option. So we'll be seeing a big jump with how choice really works here in Modern Warfare to, versus Spec Ops, where it's pretty linear as we're accustomed to from older iterations of this mode. Now, what's also interesting is it was previously leaked that one of the objectives in DMZ is going to be to capture X amount of SAM sites, and we already kind of see that in the second mission here in Spec Ops, where you are looking for SAM sites. So would not be shocked whatsoever if certain objectives are split between Spec Ops, DMZ, later raids. I do think we'll see some of those elements and objectives reused, which might make people a little upset because of quote-unquote reused assets or reused gameplay ideas. But the way I see it, not everybody out there is going to play all of these modes, so it's okay to experience similar types of gameplay in terms of objectives when you guys might be focusing on one mode over the other. You might not play all of these. It's like I've been saying in recent years, right? If things are reused from multiplayer to zombies or to Warzone, people might not play all those modes in unison. They might just play one or two of those to where they're not really experiencing quote-unquote reused gameplay elements every time they hop onto the game. Now, what I've been stressing since we streamed Spec Ops the other day is that the pacing is crazy, right? The fact that we have these 3 missions with 3 different types of pacing altogether just has me thinking that DMZ will merge all of that in one, where you get to choose what your pacing is when you drop in. Whereas with Spec Ops, you know what the pacing is going to be like when you select a certain mission. You can't really change that. I mean, you could choose to run and gun, you can choose to go loud, sure, but DMZ will offer that element of choice where there are so many objectives offered to you in that one big space to where your pacing could be different every couple of minutes, whereas in Spec Ops, it's pretty consistent from the beginning to the very end of the mission. Now, one of the bigger features that you guys probably noticed more in campaign if you played it is vehicle combat. Obviously, vehicle combat is very different in Modern Warfare 2 in comparison to recent years, where you can hang out of windows, get on the roof, you could jump from vehicle to vehicle. We saw that in campaign 100%, but here in Spec Ops, we get a nice glimpse of just how alive the environment is, which is something that I know for a fact leaks and even gaming insiders out there have confirmed for us. DMZ will feel like a very immersive type of mode, and we get a taste of that here in Spec Ops, right? It's not just something where you go from area to area and enemies just spawning in. No, the environment is filled with enemies that are already populating the map before you even get to certain areas of the location itself. Enemies walking around, enemies that are scouting on the rooftops, people driving around in vehicles. It gives me some heavy Batman Arkham vibes, just how immersive the environment is. There are things going on in spaces that you aren't even at. So the fact that that's the case is crazy. The AI is very much advanced, and even more advanced than we got to see over at COD Next. It's much more advanced here with this day 1 patch. I can't even imagine how much more advanced it'll get when DMZ does fully come out in a couple of weeks' time. So the fact that you can be walking peacefully, you go through a couple of enemies, and then all of a sudden there's a car driving by that might see you, that just makes it feel so realistic, which obviously gives people Escape from Tarkov vibes, which is what DMZ is going to be like anyway. Now, something that I also thought about after recording some B-roll is the way that the downed or death system will work in DMZ. As an example here in Spec Ops, upon fully bleeding out, your dog tag will just be sitting there and your teammate could just hold square to revive to bring you back. So it's not like you have to wait a whole minute or 2 minutes before you can be brought back into the game. There's no timer by any means. You just have a teammate go up to your dog tag and bring you back to life. So maybe DMZ will work similarly to that, because that's probably the best plan of action to kind of clutch up and turn what could be a bad game around. Instead of having to restart from scratch unless you all go down, there still is a way to salvage what could be a rough start to a stealth mission, as long as one teammate stays alive in your game. Now, stealth mechanics are also very important. As we got a huge look at in campaign, we get a very similar stealth mechanic here in Spec Ops, which I'm sure will also be in DMZ, because a lot of the leaked objectives for DMZ, which I'll have linked down below, do talk a lot about stealth. You'll get a sound indication and even a visual on screen when somebody is looking at you to give you an opportunity to continue hiding, to stay out of sight, but you'll be notified if the enemies are fully aware of you and then call in reinforcements. You'll get sound indications, music starts playing. So stealth is going to be massive, and you don't have to be stealthy if you don't want to, but to do certain challenges and to get maybe certain speedruns done, you'll want to be as stealthy as you can. Now, I just absolutely love how the vibe of campaign is so felt throughout not just the multiplayer modes we have so far, but also Spec Ops, because you just know DMZ is going to be the best of all of those. DMZ is going to be the Warzone plus the multiplayer plus the Spec Ops in one tactical experience that we just haven't seen in Call of Duty before. But another big thing that I know you guys are probably wondering is regarding loadouts. As of right now, it's very unclear how loadouts are going to work across Warzone 2, DMZ. The way I see it, if Warzone 2 has a loadout system that maybe is still different from Warzone 1, to where you can't buy it, but you can somehow get it through a quest, I'm down for that. Or if it costs a lot of money to get one, to where it's not just, oh, hop into your match and within 30 seconds you have your loadout. If they find a way to do it in a unique way to where it still feels like a battle royale, kind of like Blackout, where you can still customize your weapon, you can take off attachments, let's do that. But we can keep that separate from a loadout system in DMZ or Spec Ops. I think if people out there find good methods, which they've already found for Spec Ops, but if they find better methods in the future to level up your guns and to do camo grinding through Spec Ops and DMZ, that will instantly increase replayability for both of those modes. So Spec Ops right now doesn't have a loadout system. Maybe they'll add one in the future, but I'd be shocked if DMZ doesn't have one. I feel like DMZ is the mode to have a loadout system in, and I do think we could have different versions of the loadout system across our different tactical modes, whether it's Warzone 2, DMZ, Spec Ops, Raids. Let's see how that works, but as of right now, I think it's okay to just rely on the weapons you spawn in with, the weapons that you find at certain areas of the map. I'm cool with that, but maybe we could build on that throughout the DLC cycle. I really wouldn't mind. Now, another big thing when it comes to the whole Spec Ops, DMZ, and Raids type ecosystem here is looking at the environments themselves, being able to see different parts of Al Mazrah with different weather, different lighting, different time of the day. I know there were rumors already about a day and night cycle coming to DMZ. Maybe it won't be something where you're live in game seeing the sunset, but it just means certain objectives or missions that you go on will place you in certain areas of Al Mazrah that look different from how we're used to in Warzone 2. So certain Spec Ops missions here show us a different glimpse of some of these points of interest that are just in the daytime over in Warzone 2. Being able to see those in different light here in this mode is awesome, and I'm sure DMZ will expand upon that just to make sure that the gameplay is changed up. Even though it's the same environment or the same layout, same point of interest, changing up that weather and lighting still really does impact how the gameplay is for that experience, which I'm really on board with. Now, the last thing I'll end with is the scarcity of missions that we have right now in Modern Warfare 2. And that's the thing, right? I'm okay with seeing only 3 just to ensure that DMZ is even more polished, because it looks like DMZ will be their baby this year. Warzone 2 will still be popular, but DMZ will be that mode they really want you to play. So I understand taking away resources from a mode like Spec Ops or maybe even a tiny bit of Warzone 2 to make sure DMZ is more polished. We're already getting more missions in Season 1, which is only a couple of weeks away. Not sure when those are dropping. And we're also getting Raids, which is going to be an extension of Spec Ops. It's part of the paid Modern Warfare 2 experience, not free to play like DMZ is with Warzone. So Raids will kind of build upon Spec Ops a bit, you know, giving us these zombies-like or Destiny Easter egg hunts on these Spec Ops missions, or some new Spec Ops missions that we end up getting. So I'm okay with that. And the thing is, all 3 modes will be sharing mechanics that you likely won't be utilizing much of in regular multiplayer, but probably Warzone 2 at most. However, it makes you wonder how all this will translate into the next iteration of zombies that we'll be seeing over the next couple of years. Now, I do think the more that people play Spec Ops and give it a chance, go for 3 stars, go for achievements, try to level up weapons in the mode, we'll be seeing at least a mission or 2 dropped every season going forward. But if anything, this is just a taste of what is to come. Spec Ops is kind of like the beta for DMZ, so to speak, which I couldn't be more excited about. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the brand new DMZ preview that we have right here in Modern Warfare 2 Spec Ops? What are your thoughts on the exciting features that are going to be expanded upon this year and other things we discussed? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.